This was when I was 10 years old. Okay. So 10 years old, very impressionable mind, very young. So one day out of the blue, Papa aate and he says, "Chalo, घूमने चलेंगे." He took me to Sector 5, where all the IT complexes of Calcutta are situated. So he took me there. He was showing me the buildings of IT offices there in Calcutta, and he just said one very simple thing to me, like, one day I would want you to either work for these companies or build a company like this on your own. I decided to pursue a BSc in computer science. Now, this was something which was not in the plan. So I talked to my dad. I told him that, okay, I want to study computer science no matter what, and I don't have it in me to take a drop year again and sit for the exams again. I just completely gave up at that point. So engineering, I think our generation, whatever idea they had about engineering came from 3 Idiots. Anything and everything they showed in 3 Idiots, people believe that to be true. People have a notion that the top institutes of the country are like a black box. It's like a magic box. आप यहाँ से घुसोगे and यहाँ से आप एकदम सोना बन के निकलोगे. You are responsible for the entire profit and loss of your product. So you have to make sure that your product works, that your product is loved by your customers, and that your product is also making money. Because प्यार से पेट नहीं भर रहा है.
Okay, so welcome everyone to another episode of The Broader Pattern. And today I'm actually a lot more excited for this whole episode because the guest that I have today is Rahul Singhania. And he's my little brother. So I'm really looking forward to have all the intellectual conversation with him on camera. Which otherwise is not the case when we are behind the camera. So, and really looking to, delve more into his whole journey that has been so far. And I believe if you are a student or even otherwise, I think you will take back a lot from this episode and from Rahul's journey. So without any further ado, let's get going. Hey, Rahul, how are you, man?
Hi, I'm good, and thanks for inviting me to your show. I'm really blessed to be here and really excited for the next hour or so when we have all the conversations that you've planned for us.
Awesome. I'm equally excited. I think you can see it on my face. So yeah, let's get going. How's life? What's going on?
Yeah, so life's been good. I'm currently pursuing an internship at Salesforce as a product manager, something which I wanted to do for a really, really long time. So it's been great. Yeah, I just finished my first year of MBA, and now I'm looking forward to the next year.
Awesome. So it's your intern phase going on right now. So
yeah,
kind of a break from the regular academic things that goes on in the campus.
Yes. And again, once I'm back to the office environment and back to the office culture, I feel a lot more, in place again, because I took a break for a year. So now coming back to office, coming back to, the ways of corporate life, it makes me feel like I'm back home again.
Awesome. So let me ask you, कहाँ से शुरू करना है? शुरू से शुरू करें या let's start with the present, whichever way you feel like we should get going, we'll do that.
शुरू से शुरू करते हैं.
चलो ठीक है. So let's go back in time, Rahul. I think I don't even remember what year that was. Of course, you would remember it rather well. So first the engineering happened, then the corporate happened, and then it's the MBA which is going on, and then again the corporate which is coming up next. So to begin the engineering journey, right? I think before the engineering actually happened, many things happened before that too.
Correct.
So why don't you get going from there and we'll see where this journey takes us.
Okay. So to talk about what happened in engineering or how engineering happened in the
Yeah.
first place, I'll go back a little bit further. So there's a very core memory that I have, something which has, been imprinted in my mind and which I remember for a very long time. And it's kind of being the motivator why I'm doing whatever I'm doing. So this was when I was 10 years old. Okay. So 10 years old, very impressionable mind, very young. So one day out of the blue, पापा आते and he says, चलो घूमने चलेंगे. Now, as every other kid, I'm very excited. Yes, I'll get to go out and have a fun day. And I had a fun day. I went to the city center mall, Salt Lake में है जो, and we had a lot of fun. We watched a movie. We had good food, and then I was very happy. And then what he did was he took me to Sector 5, where all the IT complexes of Calcutta are situated. So he took me there. He was showing me the buildings of IT offices there in Calcutta. And he just said one very simple thing to me. Like, one day, I would want you to either work for these companies or build a company like this on your own. And that was something which stuck with me for a very long time, because that became a very core memory of me with him, and me, starting my journey towards thinking about, what I want to do in life or what I want to do ahead once I, graduate out of school. So yeah, that was a tipping point and that was a starting point. And again, after that, a lot of the decisions I took or the influences I've had is because of my dad. And which is why I probably decided that I should, start looking at things a little bit more seriously than I was looking at them. Of course, this was not at the age of 10. Of course, when when I started, and when I entered high school, I was thinking, okay, maybe now this is the time where I should, take things a little bit more seriously than what I'm taking so far. And that's how engineering happened.
Now, before you go to the engineering journey and things, now you said that you were 10 years old at that point when your father took you for that ice cream thing and having that conversation. I mean, were you able to really comprehend what he was saying at that point?
To be honest, no. He had obviously big dreams for me, and he saw something which I probably couldn't see it in myself at that point of time. But from what I remember is that it was not what he was saying which made an impression, but his whole effort, his whole taking a young 10-year-old boy to a place like this, to just show him what the world is all about, that your world is not limited to what you're doing so far. The world is a lot more. There's a lot more what you can do, and that's something which made the impression. And of course, post that, he's been a guide, he's been a mentor. He has someone who is I would say he has a lot more to give to people than he usually does. He has a visionary mind, and he has helped me build that mindset as well to some extent. Like he used to tell me, like, okay, you are good at this, you can probably look at this as well. Why don't you now, since I've already pursued my engineering and I'm in an MBA degree, which sort of comes across as a techno-functional role, right? So he was very keen on me pursuing something like this, because he visioned that something like this would be very important in future, and he did that probably 15 years before what I'm doing right now. So he was a key influence in whatever I did. And I'm not saying that he forced me to do those things, but then again, you need someone at that very young age, when you don't have a lot of impressionable people around you. You need someone who can guide you towards a better path, I would say.
No, that is very heartening to hear, because like you said, right, forcing somebody is a different thing. But if you are able to influence somebody in a positive way, जहाँ पे बंदा खुद बोलता है कि यार I will do this, या मुझे ये करना है, because they are very positively influenced by the person whom they are seeing as a guiding light or mentor or whatever in that sense where कि वो एक इंसान है कि हाँ अगर इसने कुछ सोचा है मेरे बारे में and the way he's motivating me through his talks, through his deeds, and it kind of creates that impact and you are driven to do that. I think that's just fantastic. And then you having that appreciation for the person, right, after you have achieved it and after you have made it in that sense. I think this is just very very nice to hear and great. I think this is something we can all look to have, which is gratitude. So you have it in abundance, so congratulations for that. Great.
Thank you.
Now I think when with all this, I think finally when the engineer was knocking at the door, it did not happen at one go. So I think there was a very good story around that too, filled with setbacks and hope. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? How did actually the engineering happen then?
Yeah. So I'll be very honest with you. When I was in 11th standard, I was preparing for joint entrance like every other kid was doing around me. I wasn't thinking about a college. I wasn't thinking about, oh, I want to study at IIT Delhi. I want to study at IIT Bombay. At that point of time, the only thing in my mind was I want to study computer science because, hey, I love programming.
Yeah.
I love computers. And this is what I want to study. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, engineering is one of the only ways you can do that in India right now. So I thought, okay, engineering is something which I'll have to do because I have to pursue this. So, but then again, yeah, things didn't work out the way they should have worked out in the first place. My exams weren't as good as I hoped they would be, and there was a time when I was lost. I was honestly very lost because
Which year is this, by the way?
This is 2014. So
2014.
sometime around April and May, when the exams were done and the results were getting published, I was a little lost because I wasn't getting a college which I was satisfied with, or I was not getting a course which I was sort of satisfied with. So, and I was lost. I was completely lost because it came as a shocker. And considering I did well in some aspects and I didn't do well in some aspects of my entire +2 journey. So that was a huge shocker, which is why I decided to pursue a BSc in computer science. Now, this was something which was not in the plan. So I talked to my dad. I told him that, okay, I want to study computer science no matter what. And I don't have it in me to, take a drop year again and sit for the exams again. I just completely gave up at that point of time.
And you were one of the school toppers.
Yeah.
Back in the days.
Yeah. So I fared second in my final board exam.
Right.
But then again, some things didn't work out as I wanted them to work out. So I chose to pursue BSc in computer science from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, which is notoriously known to be our family college. My dad's been there, my uncle's been there, my grandfather, my nanu has been there. So it kind of runs in the family.
If nothing, you continued the legacy.
Yeah. So I got an admission there and I attended classes there for a month. This was, I believe, a big turning point for me because when I used to go there for my classes, even though I was learning the same computer science concepts I would have learned otherwise, I wasn't having great conversation with my peers. I wasn't having, intellectual conversation with my peers. I wasn't looking forward to next day's classes or looking forward to learning computer science from St. Xavier. Not to blame the institute, but this was not something which I wanted, or this was not something which I had in mind, which made me realize that, okay, maybe I should be a little more courageous and take a shot and try for the exams again. So I went there for exactly 1 month. Then I withdrew my admission. Got a lot of scolding from my dad that I'm not stable enough. I'm not doing anything which I put my mind to. But then again, things started to work out as I started working on my JE prep again. And the second time around, it worked out better than what I expected.
So, what was your inspiration to draw that confidence, right? Because definitely, if I think from a student's mindset, sometimes it's a very dark area. Like somebody like you, who was such a bright student in school. Generally, you would top and things in your class, in your board, and everything. And then to not get through in the first instance, it kind of creates that element of doubt, because that's the first time you have seen, "Arey, ye main nahi kar paya," right? And then getting into BSc, just to kind of because there was no other choice as well, if you see, for that matter, right? And then being in that very kind of the low of your life in that sense, right? So where did you get that confidence ki nahi yaar, agli baar kuch to alag hoga and better hoga? And particularly, like you said, when your dad was also saying that you don't have a focused mind and things, and stuff like that, which is also coming your way. So where do you get that confidence from?
I would say that again, it wasn't something which happened overnight. I was thinking about it for a very long time. I was talking to people who were either pursuing engineering, or who had already made a decision to take a drop year, take a gap year, and then study for the JEE exam again. So I was talking to them. I was trying to figure out certain things, because during that 1 month time, I essentially figured out that, hey, I am good at certain things, I'm not good at certain things. So even with academics, I understood that, okay, I am probably good at mathematics, I'm not probably good with physics. I'm probably good with certain aspects of chemistry. In certain aspects, I don't have the skill set, or I don't have the mindset to study, or I just don't want to, put in that much amount of effort. So this was a learning which helped me figure out that, okay, maybe I don't need to be good at everything. I can be good at certain aspects of the exam, and then certain aspects can be tackled, and certain aspects can be, worked upon. So I thought that let's take a leap of faith. Worst case में क्या होगा, फिर से admission ले लेंगे अगले साल BSc. So that was pretty much which gave me the confidence that, okay, let's try it again. Let's not give up so easily, and we'll figure out. So कुछ ना कुछ तो कर ही लेंगे. Like,
no, that's good. Yeah, I think I mean, to have that mindset, that what's there to lose, right? I think that gives a huge push sometimes, and कभी कभी हम, I think, in that process हम वो achieve कर लेते जो I think जो हमने शायद सोचा भी ना हो. We have not even imagined कि यार ये हो सकता है. So yeah, I think good. And then I think the engineering happened. So finally, in your second attempt, you were able to clear some really good institutes. And what exactly happened? How did you choose what subject? Subject, I think, was clear, because you always said you've loved computers, so it should not be anything else other than computers. But what was that story like?
Yeah, so my top two choices at that point of time were Jadavpur University and BIT Mesra. Both of them great colleges, a great legacy behind them. The only deciding factor was, do I study at home or do I study in a hostel? Because JU is in Calcutta. I could stay at the comfort of my home and not having to live in a hostel, versus going to a completely unknown place, a state where I've never been to meet people I've never met, in a culture I've never been to. So that was the sole deciding point or deciding factor at that point of time. Then again, somewhere along the line, my dad influenced my decision, which probably I thank him for now, because he nudged me to go to BIT. He said that, beta, इतने साल से Calcutta में हो, now go out and explore. Because if you go to BIT, you'll get to meet a lot more people from different backgrounds. People you have never met before, or people you don't have a chance to meet if you stay here at JE. So that's something which happened there. And that's how I decided that, okay, I'll again take a leap of faith, get out of my comfort zone a little, and then I'll see what happens. I'll figure out.
Nice. So that's when the BIT Mesra happened,
Yeah.
right? And then once you got into the engineering, what was it a completely different world than what you had imagined when you were outside? और या सब कुछ वैसा ही था जैसा सुना था सोचा था and
So engineering, I think our generation, whatever idea they had about engineering came from Three Idiots. Anything and everything they showed in Three Idiots, people believe that to be true. But slowly I figured that it's not the case. There are some things which are very different. And
like
to
what?
be honest, like the rigor, for example. Like to be very honest, engineering mein across branches, the rigor varies a lot. If you are in a computer science or an IT course, the rigor is slightly less. Now, it totally depends on you how till what extent you want to go. But the academic rigor per se is slightly less compared to if you are in mechanical or electrical.
Okay.
Those core branches require a lot more effort from your end without without you even thinking why you are doing that, because those are straight up core courses which you have to pursue. You don't have a lot of options there. While the computer science and IT courses were a little bit more flexible as well. In general, I would say that the computer science engineering course is fairly better structured compared to what I learned from my peers, because even though the first year went about learning all the same subjects which everyone else did, even though I can say that it didn't contribute to my programming journey, but what it helped me doing was it helped me open up my mind. It helped me, help me exercise my mind and train my mind in a particular direction, which was really important. But after that, a little bit of flexibility, letting you choose your courses, or letting you choose your assignments for that matter. A very small example: you get to choose which assignment you want to make. Now that's where you show your creativity versus something in mechanical or any other core branch for that matter, where things are a little bit more rigid, which probably, I don't know, I can't say for sure that what kind of experience that makes, but I would prefer computer science any day just for the experience or just for the flexibility of it.
So, यार एक बात बताओ, with a lot of people from your generation that I have seen, right from the engineering time, they start thinking about startups and all, to do something on their own, to build something on their own. They'll build some new apps, trying to solve some problems. So did that ever come across in your head as well that, okay, I don't want to get into the corporate to begin with, maybe I can explore some of these areas? Because as far as I remember, you were really good with coding and all. So
so I would say in my case it was the contrary. I wanted to get into corporate so that I can gain that experience. I'm not gonna lie, we did think about making an app for our college, so that you can have all things related to college in one app in one place. But this was not a startup idea. We weren't trying to make money out of it. We just wanted to do it for the fun of it. So three friends of us, we randomly started discussing this, and we randomly started coding this idea. We went about till a great extent, but then everyone got placed, everyone got chill, everyone started partying, and everyone wanted to enjoy their last semester of engineering. So we dropped the plan. But we did had a lot of discussions about, I used to have discussions with my friends about startups, about, wanting to do something of their own. But I personally was of the opinion that I should get into corporate. I should try to learn the ways of the industry, and I should try to gain some on-hands experience, because I understood that coding as a student versus doing it for a corporate company could be very, very different in terms of the scale, in terms of the complexity, in terms of, the security aspects of your app, anything. So it's a completely different ball game, which is why I made up my mind that I will work for a few years before, thinking about a startup.
nice. Now, fine. The whole engineering happened and everything. Now, from that standpoint, when you again look back to that year that was where you were at home, pretty much just studying and nothing else to do. Now, from that phase to have landed into an engineering college, stepping into that engineering college, and then successfully doing your engineering and getting placed in a very good company. How was that feeling like from there till here?
To be honest, looking back, it felt a little bit silly that I used to worry a lot. There were phases where I was completely, uh, I was completely out of hope. I was completely lost. I was JE took over everything in my life, and it felt very silly looking back that okay, this was not that big a challenge which I was thinking it was. But yeah, धीरे धीरे sort हो गया था सब. So again, I think this is something which is ingrained in human nature. जब आप पीछे मुड़ के देखते हो तभी आपको समझ में आता है कि it was easy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So the message is, in the end, it always works out, right? So, no, yeah, I think I can relate a lot with my journey as well. You always have those moments where you are just kind of, you feel like you're down and out, and you're absolutely pushed to the wall. आपको लगता है I cannot do anything else here from here on, right? There are no hopes left, kind of thing, and then suddenly things start to work out, right? Without even we realizing, we just keep at it, keep at it. I think perseverance is something that that is very, very important, and that's what keeps us moving, moving towards that moving target again, because it's not that आपने कुछ achieve कर लिया and that's where it ends, right? Because then there's a next goal, there's a next target. So with that, the next target, right? So you finish your engineering and corporate life happened, right? Let's talk a little bit about that. What was it like? Which company did you get into? How was that initial phase? How was that your first reaction to what you were seeing stepping into the corporate world?
Yeah, so I got into a company called Sabre Travel Technologies. I had never heard about Sabre before it came to my campus. No idea what those guys did. I just understood it's a tech company, does something in the travel domain, and that's how I went into my interview. They found me good enough and I landed a job there. But something which really worked out for me was they gave me a 6-month internship before I started my full-time job. So I had a full-time job, but they invited me for a 6-month internship, which was something I think a lot of companies are doing right now, and which is something which is really great. The transition from a college life to your corporate life becomes a lot more easier if you are doing a 6-month internship or a 3-month internship with a company. That makes the transition very smooth. The context setting becomes much more easier for you. So my very first impression of being in IT or being in office happened actually 2 weeks after our internship started. So they had a 2 weeks boot camp for us, where they were preparing us for the industry. They were helping us with the right kind of technologies that we need to know and giving us a starter on almost everything which we would need at our jobs. So post that, I went to the office first day and I see everyone around me coding. I was like, wow, this is something where I want to be. But when I finally got to look at the code base, I was so intimidated. I was very intimidated for the first few weeks. I couldn't make sense of the code. I couldn't understand what is happening, why they are doing it, what they are doing. And they really started us with the team right away. They gave us assignments which were very complicated, which they expected us to solve in a timed manner. And it was as if I'm working as a software developer from the day one. So it was complicated. It took me a lot of effort during the initial first few months. But then again, the ball started rolling and I think I became much more comfortable with, what I'm doing and who I'm dealing with, because being in corporate is not just about working. It's also about managing people or dealing with people, which was difficult during the first few weeks. But then again, as we settled into the environment, all of us became a lot more familiar with it.
No, amazing. And then you went on to spend 3 years with Sabre.
Yeah.
And so, again, very maybe briefly, how was that journey like, doing the whole corporate thing for 3 years? Because after that, the next phase of life came in for you. So,
yeah. So with Sabre, essentially, I only spent 15 months with them on site or in office. After that, COVID struck, so it was a completely different experience,
yes.
COVID. But Sabre was a fantastic experience for me. I worked with two different teams there, and I tried to explore all the domains of the travel industry. So I worked with the hotel industry and the airline ticketing industry. So I just wanted to have a mix of both flavors before I, eventually moved to a different place. So, and I worked across, I would say, two or three different domains as well within the industries as well. And that was something which was really great.
So COVID wala phase kaisa tha? Because that was a transition that was unique for every single individual, I think, on this planet, right? So for you who were already very new to the corporate, you were still kind of settling in, getting into the groove. It was just 1.5 years that you were in the company, including your internship period and things. And suddenly COVID struck, right? So how was that whole phase? How did you guys deal with it?
So, Bhaiya, I'll be very honest. COVID was very bad the initial few months, because I wasn't accustomed to online meetings at all. I was very bored in online meetings. I wasn't able to pay attention. I couldn't relate to a lot of things that were being discussed. I couldn't connect all the dots there. And this was still a time where I was learning, right? So this was very boring and very intimidating at the same time, to be honest. Eventually, every one of us got accustomed, and everyone became a lot more easier on Zoom. But yeah, the initial few months were very disturbing, to be honest.
Now you are in terms with it?
Yeah, I am. I still believe in a world where, you have a lot more physical meetings, a lot more events in person. But yeah, this is something I think which all of us will have to live by.
What is the major difference you see? Agar compare karo, like from things pre-March 2020 and now and the future, right? Kya lagta hai? What's the difference like?
I feel we have become a lot more impersonal. To be very honest, all the tech around COVID, all the tech improvements that we had was really great. We are doing this on a Zoom call, which is really great, to be honest. But then again, there's a lack of personal touch in anything and everything we're doing. And this is something which I first felt during my stint with the airline team. So after about 18 months in my role as a software development engineer, I moved to the airline ticketing team. So I was completely new there. I didn't have any context about their technology stack or about how they work or what kind of things they're working on. And the transition took a lot of time for me because it was happening online. Everyone in my team agreed that we would have worked a lot more better if we did it offline. The meetings could have been a lot more productive. People could have found a lot more time. And, you just have a general conversation with your colleagues, randomly sitting and, having a conversation about a certain aspect of your product. That is something which is missing, right? You can't have a conversation every single time. You can't be on a call throughout the entire day here, right? So this is something which I feel is a major difference, and something which the companies will have to bypass somehow or the other if they want to, be as productive as they were.
Yeah, no, I think I agree to that. There are companies who are doing this really well. Some companies the hybrid way, some companies are fully remote, and definitely they are. I mean, kudos to them कि वो बहुत अच्छे ढंग से कर रहे हैं. मतलब whatever you can basically in your capacity, and I see that with my own experience or my friends' experiences. They're doing it really well, but This is my personal feeling, and I don't mind getting get some bashing from people to be thinking like this. But somewhere it's still the very old school thought in me, where I feel very strongly about the physical presence in a common room, in a common setup, because I don't think people only learn when let's say you and I are discussing. You learn in that osmosis as well. So if me and you are on a whiteboard discussing something, maybe two cubicles down, there's another person who may be just listening to our conversation, right? Even that's a learning, which has gone, I think, completely missing. And of course, it's a different world in that sense now. You do not have that physical presence very, very easily available, or let's say bumping into each other, water cooler conversations. I think those are gone somewhere, and I think those were also very key aspects of learning. But again, it's a new world, and I think the sooner we kind of accept it, it'll be good for everyone.
Yeah.
Cool. So engineering happened, corporate happened, and then your major goal. Talk about that. How did that transpire? So I know you were always keen into MBA, and this story was not like which developed suddenly out of the blue, that you saw so many people doing MBA and then the fascination happened. No, I know this was there for a long time. It was taking shape over the years. Talk us through that journey.
Okay, so to talk about it, I'll take you थोड़ा और पहले future में, थोड़ा और पहले, where my something which my dad always used to tell me कि बेटा कुछ भी करना, कुछ भी काम करना life में, be a little techno-commercial about it. So whatever you're doing, whatever work you are doing, whether it's your own business, whether you're working for someone, whether you're working in corporate, be a little techno-commercial. He believed that way you won't be replaceable, or no one can replace you very easily. So
explain a little more. What is techno-commercial?
Yeah. So according to his words, not mine, according to him, it was something where you know a bit of technology, but you also know a bit of commerce, or you know a bit of business around it, because technology cannot sell itself, right? You have to have a business which is supporting the technology, which is selling the technology, and which is making it affordable for everyone. So even in a very small aspect, if you are running a shop, there could be certain technical aspects to how you manage your shop versus how you're actually running the business. Maybe what kind of products you are keeping is something which is a business decision. But if you are using, let's say, Paytm as a payment system, that is a technical decision which you're taking. You have to have an understanding of basic technology to figure out how to accept payments on Paytm, right? So this was something which he said that will help you now and will help you 50 years down the line as well.
ये बात उन्होंने कब कही थी?
When I was, I guess, 13.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I couldn't understand a lot of it at that point of time, but धीरे धीरे it started to make a lot more sense. फिर जैसे मैं engineering में गया, I figured that okay, why he's saying what he's saying. Why did he used to focus not just on the technology aspects of whatever I'm learning, but also try to understand the business behind it. So he used to give me, he used to force me to read the newspaper, and I would read the sports section, I would read the technology section, but I would skip the business section altogether. And he's like, you know about the technology which Infosys has adopted or which Infosys has developed. Do you know its business kya hai? Do you know how are they making money? Wow. He asked me those questions, and I was like, no, I have no idea. I don't know what they do or how they do it. I just understand that they have this tech, but I don't know how they sell it. I don't know how they market it. This made me realize that, oh, this is something which I want to do. I want to know that thing. I want to be able to make those decisions that I don't just understand the technology, but I also, understand how to make business out of that technology. And this also developed a lot when I was working, because actually that was the time when I was seeing it in action, when I was seeing people who understood the technology behind whatever we are doing, but also had the business sense of shaping whatever we are doing, giving us a direction. Okay, this won't sell, or this thing won't work out with your customers, but this thing will. So why not work on this? This is how I developed my interest, or I started looking at MBA more seriously than I ever would have.
Wow. And you were preparing for your CAT while you were working at Sabre.
Yeah,
Right.
so
So how was
CAT
that
has
whole ritual, like the preparation thing?
so CAT has a very funny story with me. I gave CAT 4 times, I guess,
Four
but
times.
yeah, but I prepared only once.
So basically, which was your fourth time that's when you prepared.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
previous three was just like giving attempts.
yeah. So I was like, let's just attend the exam. It's basic English, basic math, basic logical reasoning. You don't have a syllabus to prepare for. Let's just go and see what the competition looks like, what the exam looks like. I don't know what the exam looks like. And at that point of time, I had the privilege of, attempting it multiple times, uh, doing it my way. So I went there, I wrote CAT first time in 2018. I got 97 percentile,
In your
which,
first attempt.
yeah, in my first attempt.
Okay.
So which made me understand that, okay, it will take me some effort to get to a percentile which I want, because as competitive as the CAT exam is, it's even more competitive for people who are from an engineering background, right? So I understood that I need very high percentiles to get into the top IIM, which is why I attempted CAT 3 times. It's not that I wasn't serious about my preparation, but I didn't have the right reason to go to an MBA. I was just attempting CAD out of the blue. I
What do you mean by
probably
right
did.
reason?
Yeah, so I'll explain it thoda or deeply. So what I used to do was, CAT happens in November, right? So at around May or June, I used to study for CAT for 1 month. I used to study. I used to open up my books, solve problems, and then just the motivation died. But I already have registered for the exam. So when I go ahead, I take the exam. I did well twice. I didn't do very well the third time. So, but there was no motivation. There was no reason why I would, commit to an exam and study for 6 months, and, then commit to a degree for 2 years. And 2 years is a lot more longer than people believe it is. So, at that point of time, I didn't have the right reasons to do it. I was probably thinking, oh, if I do an MBA, I will probably get a better paying job. पैसे ज्यादा कमा लूंगा, या फिर I would, let's say, work in XYZ industry, which I don't think are the right reasons to pursue any kind of higher studies, not just MBA for that matter.
Was it also because you had already started earning and that kind of played in your head?
Uh, kind of, and also the thing was, I was loving my job during the first
Okay.
2 years. I was in love with my job. I really enjoyed whatever I was doing. At that point of time, I didn't bother a lot about money. I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to, learn everything I possibly could. So that didn't, so I didn't have the right motivation behind, pursuing an exam or going for an MBA. But then slowly during COVID, I had a lot more time to think. I had a lot more time to, reason with myself at what I want to do. So funny story, initially when I had planned an MBA, I was thinking about the finance sector. I was thinking about working somewhere in the finance sector, maybe as a fintech consultant or something to do with fintech. I don't know what, but I just wanted to get into the finance industry and use my existing tech knowledge or tech background and do something in the fintech industry. That was my primary motivator behind that, or that was my thing which I would present in MBA interviews. This was something which I decided, okay, if they ask me why do you want to do an MBA? This is something which I will go forward with. But then I realized that this is something it's just a fad. I was passionate about fintech because I thought I was passionate about fintech. I actually wasn't. It was just a fad. Fintech was booming at that point of time because of COVID. And I just wanted to, get onto that express train. But then I realized that, hey, possibly this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Then I started looking for reasons. So entire 2020 and the first half of 2021 went into looking for the right reason. Okay, if I pursue an MBA, what do I do after that? I understood that I won't be coding for a living anymore, but what do I do with it? Do I get into consulting? Do I get into marketing? Do I get into HR? Do I get into finance? Then I realized that the answer is right in front of me because uh, I've always admired people who, understand technology, but also can make a business sense out of it, like I said. And I realized that, okay, the answer is right here. There are people who have a background in tech, but they understand business really well. Now, the problem is they haven't had formal business education. So it took them, let's say, 5 years or 10 years of efforts to reach there. But if I get a business education, I can probably do that in 3 years. I can probably, learn some
You can
concepts.
fast track that.
Yeah, I can fast track that. I can get to know a lot more things which I didn't know about business or which I assume that it's just there, but it's not. And that became quite a motivator for me at that point of time. Yeah.
Oh, nice. No, definitely. I think I remember a lot of those conversations we used to have around the fintech part and things. So good. Again, now, so the preparation part understood. I think now, what exactly transpired when you gave CAT for the fourth time?
Mhm.
जब चौथी बार finally दिया,
Mhm.
then what exactly happened? And don't just talk about the part where you got through the admission and all.
Mhm.
Let's also talk a little bit more about the life inside the campus
Mhm.
and life before the campus happened, how it looks from outside, how you what you perceive from outside, what you hear from outside, but then when you actually get in, what kind of a world it is. So, two-part question.
Yeah. So when I gave CAT for the fourth time, actually I got very lucky. I'll be very honest. Luck plays an important role in such exams.
You believe that?
Uh, I do believe that because there are certain aspects which need to fit in during that moment for it to work out. So, like for example, a very small example, again with the CAT exam, I had certain areas of strength, certain areas of weaknesses. It so happened that the paper was more aligned to the areas of my strength. I was able to tackle the paper better because
Okay.
the majority of the questions were from the areas of my strength. So that worked out well for me. It didn't work out well for a lot of people. So
No,
this is
there
something.
could be two things there, right, Rahul?
Mhm.
See, there could be two things the way you look at it, right? One could be that you felt you were lucky that whatever you knew and you were good at,
Mhm.
you saw that on the paper and you could resolve it.
Mhm.
It could also be the another way to look at it is your preparation was so strong
Mhm.
that the paper looked easy for you because you knew a lot of it already.
Um, so see, with the CAD exam in particular, I won't say that you just can get lucky and score a lot of marks or score a
Yeah.
very high percentile.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be very well prepared with whatever you're doing. And CAT is an exam of strategy more than maths or English or logical reasoning.
Why is that?
I relate it to like test cricket. So it's about hitting the bad balls and leaving the good ones. CAT exam is exactly like this. You have 2 hours. You have to make sure that you attempt the easy questions. You have to make sure that you attempt the questions from areas of your strength and respectfully leave the questions which you know will take a lot of time and you won't be able to solve them.
Okay.
So this was something I figured again. reiterating in all my CAT attempts. And finally, I figured that, okay, this is what the exam is all about. But then again, why I say I feel lucky is because the CAT exam happens in 3 slots. Okay. So there's a morning slot, there's an afternoon slot, there's an evening slot.
Okay.
So, and I have a strength in mathematics. Maths has been very favorable to me or very kind to me throughout my life. And which is why I figured that I would need to score absurdly high in that section for me to have a overall high percentile, right? And when you talk about the higher percentiles, anything above 99 or 99.5, the slightest of mistakes can cost you a lot. So that's where you need a certain element of luck. Maybe there's one question from your favorite topic, which is there in your paper, but it's not there in everyone else's paper because everyone else was sitting for a different slot of the exam. That one question can make the difference. So that's why I say that certain element of luck will always help you out. I won't say that luck will sail you through the exam. It's obviously your preparation. But then again, that one question can probably be the difference between an IIM Bangalore versus a tier 3 college somewhere in India.
Okay. Yeah. So again, coming back to the journey of CAT.
Yeah. So after I gave the CAT exam, I was pretty confident that I'm going to score well because A, I had a good intuition about the paper, and B, 2 weeks later, they gave us our answer sheet with the answer key as well. So I could calculate what my total was, which was fairly high from whatever I was expecting. So I was confident that, okay, this is sorted, CAT is sorted. I'm going to score at least above 99 percentile. It's something which I was sure of. Now comes preparing for your interviews.
Yeah.
And I'll be very honest, I didn't prepare for my interviews at all. Some people take a lot of courses, some people get into a lot of structured programs.
It's just for the interview preparation.
Yes, because the interviews are so rigorous, because the chances of you getting into an IIM is still 1:5, even after you clear CAT. So some people do it and that's absolutely fine. I didn't want to spend a lot of time and money there. So I wasn't preparing for the interviews in a structured manner. What I used to do is I used to read the current affairs, and I used to be up and running on technology. Anything and everything related to tech, I used to read that. So this was my funda of preparing for my interviews. And then again, yeah, my interviews, the ones which I expected were bad, went really good. Some which I expected were good were not actually good, to be honest. But I interviewed for, I think, 10 or 11 colleges. 11 colleges, yes.
Okay. But before that, what was your percentile and where all did you get the call from?
Yeah, so my percentile was 99.8 to be precise. And I got calls from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Kozhikode, XLRI, SPGen, FMS.
Wow, pretty much all top colleges of India when it comes to big school.
Yeah, for some reason, IIM Indore chose not to call me, but that's fine. And
I hope you're not holding any grudges against IIM Indore for not calling you.
No. And to be honest, I didn't apply for any other colleges as well. So these are my top calls. So like I said, some interviews which I felt were really bad were actually good. Something like the XLRI interview for that matter. So I didn't have a good score in the ZAT exam because I probably, after the success of my CAT exam, I took it a little bit easy. I didn't study for ZAT and I didn't score well. So I was treating that interview as a practice interview. I thought that this is the best time to practice because these are real interviewers. These are professors from a top B school interviewing you. And I had my IIM Ahmedabad interview 3 days after my XLRI interview. So I thought this was a good practice for me. So, but that interview went for about 90 minutes.
Okay.
And it was very difficult. There was a lot of cross questioning. And I thought, I'm not going to make it with this percentile in this interview. I'm not going to make it to XLRI. Come on. But yeah, so I interviewed for about 11 colleges, like I said. But amazingly, I was waitlisted in each and every one. Each and every single call, except IIM Kozhikode, was a waitlist for me.
Okay.
which came as a shocker. Uh, Particularly so because the first result which came out that year was IIM Bangalore, where I was waitlisted, and this was the college where I wanted to go. This was my
Why?
dream college.
Why?
Again, some people argue about IIM Ahmedabad versus IIM Bangalore, and I very much agree that IIM Ahmedabad is a better brand. They might be better than us in academics. They might be better than us in certain aspects of your B school life. But why I feel IIM Bangalore was more relevant to me was because the peer group here is a lot more mature. The average batch profile here has about 26 months of work experience. So
Okay.
makes which makes the classroom conversations a lot more different than what you would had at IIM Ahmedabad. I'm not saying people at IIM Ahmedabad are stupid. They are obviously very talented people. But then again, the kind of environment it creates, and also given the fact that I wanted to get into the tech industry again, and IIM Bangalore is a favorable campus for your tech companies because of its location and because of the fact that people from IIM Bangalore are working for these same tech companies. So obviously they would want to visit their alma mater for recruitment, right? So like I was saying, all my calls were practically waitlist. So I didn't had a clarity on where I'm heading towards.
Mm.
Even though if you look at the past statistics, I could easily clear all of the cutoffs. But then again, it's always like you are the one guy who couldn't make it because the statistics were not in favor in you or not in favor with you in that year, right?
Yeah.
So that creates a lot of uncertainty. So I was pretty much depressed about the situation for a while. I wasn't faring very well because because of the effort I put in during the CAD exam, sacrificing a lot of things to make sure that I get a high score and then not making it to any of the colleges. It was demotivating to be honest. But again, I what I did was I talked to a lot of people. I talked to my colleagues. I talked to you. I talked to some of my other friends who were already in these schools. And all of them practically just gave me one advice. You don't have anything to lose. You gave your best shot. You prepared for the exam. You gave your interviews. Now you can't change anything.
Right.
What you can do is just enjoy what you're doing right now. Focus on your work and wait for time to work everything out. So that's what I did. I waited slowly. All my wait lists were getting converted. Uh, I remember before I converted IIM Bangalore, the two best converts I had was XLRI Jamshedpur and IIM Lucknow.
Mm.
I was very confused. Where do I want to go? Whether it's XLRI or Lucknow? Because if you don't have
Yeah, because
IIM,
by then IMB had not happened.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't have your top ABC calls with you converted, then again it becomes a little bit tricky because both these colleges are not notoriously known for their IT, placements or just in general people with IT experience there.
Right.
So again, it was a decision which was very tough. I didn't had a lot of data points to make that decision. Even though I talked to a lot of people, I talked to people who were pursuing an MBA from Lucknow. I talked to people who were pursuing an MBA from XLRI. I searched practically every forum on the internet comparing the pros and cons of both colleges. But then I couldn't make a decision. So I practically had both the seats reserved for me. I gave a token admission amount in both the colleges, and I was just delaying my decision. So sometimes you just can't make a decision because you don't have enough data. And I believe that you should have enough data points for you to
Okay.
make a decision. I can't make a gut decision.
Okay.
I get very uncomfortable if I'm making a decision without looking at all the facts.
Okay.
So I was just trying to gather as much data as I can. But then suddenly one fine day, IIM Bangalore happened and everything else went out of the window. So
Awesome.
I didn't have to make a decision. The decision was made for me.
Good. So finally you landed in IIM Bangalore, and
Yeah.
as for my second part of the question,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all this journey that
Mm-hmm.
was before IMB happened, your research, your uh, Reddit conversations and Telegram conversations and whatnot,
Mhm.
right? Where
Mhm.
you try to understand what this place is like, how the life would be in campus and things. And now that you are in the campus of IIM Bangalore,
Mhm.
how different things are. How do you see things have changed from what you perceived from outside and then in real life?
Yeah, so it's a lot more different than what I expected. Again, people have a notion that your top institutes of the country are like a black box. It's like a magic box. आप यहाँ से घुसोगे एंड यहाँ से आप एकदम सोना बन के निकलोगे. But that's not the case. वहां पहुंचने के बाद आपको समझ में आता है कि there's lot more left. This is not even the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
So again, and a lot of things you learn about these schools or an MBA colleges from pop culture, right? So, but this is not true there. This is not true there. When you go there, you actually figure out how talented people are.
Uh-huh.
You actually figure out that how exceptional everyone is in their own field. So even
Wow.
though I had a very high percentile, I figured that there are people who are a lot more smarter than me, people
Mm.
who know have achieved a lot more things apart from their academics. So there's a girl in my batch who has discovered 3 stars. Now, this is something which you don't see, right? This is something which you don't see on a day-to-day basis. Just practically discovered 3 stars, and those stars are somewhere out there. Now you are studying with those people, and it becomes very daunting at that point of time, right? So once the classes started, again, I going back to college again after a gap of 3 years was a bit difficult because you're not accustomed to, getting up at a certain time, going to class, paying attention for 1.5 hours, and then,
And it's
go.
not remote education.
Yeah, it's not remote education. You can't turn off your video and just leave, right? So you have to be attentive during the class because the professor cold calls you and suddenly asks you a question, and if you don't know the answer, you practically are made fun of, right? So you have to be attentive in class. You have to make sure that you are learning everything that is being taught. You have to go back and prepare for the next day's classes. You have to go do your pre-reads. You have to go do the assignments. There might be a quiz tomorrow which you don't know, which you know or don't know about. So you read for that. So the life at any B school for that matter is not as rosy as it is projected out. It's
Mhm.
very hectic. There are certain aspects of it which you will like. There are certain aspects which you will not like. Someone might like the academic rigor. Someone might like the opportunity to network with people there. For personally, what I felt was what I could relate to the most there was that I got a chance to create more impact than I probably had ever made in my life. So I joined a committee which was responsible for placing everyone in the batch.
Okay.
And this was a very important highlight of my first year B school
Why
because
did
uh, because I have the opportunity of practically impacting 500 careers. I'm
wow.
working towards something. I'm working towards a goal where I make sure that the best of the companies visit on campus and they offer the best of the opportunities to everyone. And more importantly, they offer it to everyone. So there are 2 courses which run at IIM Bangalore, the flagship PGP program and the PGP program. The PGP program started off in 2020 and it's a little bit more focused on analytics and artificial intelligence than your traditional 2 year MBA. Now, a lot of recruiters don't want to recruit from that program because it's not the marquee program of IIM Bangalore, right? Then you have to convince them that this program is absolutely as good as the flagship PGP course and why you should recruit from this particular course. So then again, you get a chance to impact the careers of those 50 people who are studying
So
in the
it
program,
becomes
right?
your responsibility as a part of Placecom to convince these companies,
Yes.
or there are some other people or some admin people from
Yeah.
college who does that.
So there are some admin people, but we are the first point of contact. So
Okay.
let's say we are dealing with 150 companies out here, right? So And let's say out of them, 20 companies decided, hey, we don't want to recruit from the PGP people. But it's my duty and it's my peers' duty to make that first call, to get in touch with them, to make them understand what this program is about, and to convince them to come to our camp. Same goes for, let's say, a work experience criteria. So companies might have a very rigid work experience criteria, which the batch is not suitable for. Let's say someone has a company has a work experience criteria of 36 months, but most people who are on campus who have 3 years of experience actually have 34 or 35 months of experience because of the timing when they actually join their job versus when they quit and come to IIM Bangalore, right? So it's not always 36 months. It's, let's say, 34 months, 15 days. Now I have to convince the recruiter that, hey, don't be very rigid. Try to understand what the batch data looks like,
Wow.
and influence them to, change their policies. Yeah. And of course, inviting new companies, keep inviting the companies that visit us every single year to make sure that the relationship continues between the firm and the college. So this is something which really helped me be a little different from what I would have done otherwise at Bangalore. Me and two of my peers, the three of us collectively, I think, invited 40 or 50 odd new companies this time. And then again, the process is very interesting as far as that goes. So it's a lot of cold calls, a lot of cold emails. Sometimes you just contact some alumni to see if their company wants to recruit from IIM Bangalore.
Nice.
Or sometimes the companies just directly contact you.
Oh, amazing. And I think it's a great opportunity to, skill up in that sense, right? Build that parallel skill of negotiating with companies.
Correct.
And making them realize what's in it for them. Because of course, unless they see it, why would they visit your campus? And if you are able to, जब successfully कुछ converts कर लेते हो तो I think वो confidence अपने आप फिर आता है कि I think we could really show them the value that they can gain out of this whole partnership with IIMB. Yeah. Oh, amazing. Other than that, how's life inside the campus? Otherwise, you get some sleep?
For the first 2 terms, practically very less sleep because our system and I so it takes a lot more time for you to adjust. Like preparing for next day's class might, let's say, take 3 hours. But वही आप जब system में घुस जाते हो, थोड़ा time हो जाता है, तो it probably takes, let's say, 1.5 hours. So then again, it's all about, getting in touch with the system and getting habituated. And then also you're preparing for your summer placements. So that takes up a lot of your time during the first 2 terms. But once all of that is done, the rest of the year is a lot more easier on you. But not if you are a placement committee member, because that's the time when you have to place your seniors.
True.
So for us, once everyone in the senior batch was placed, that's when we finally got to sleep a lot on campus for the first time.
So Rahul, you have seen both campus lives, right? Engineering का भी देखा है and MBA का भी देखा है, right? And I'm sure दोनों बहुत अलग है.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's like back to college life, back to campus life, but are in their own ways, दोनों बहुत ज़्यादा अलग है. So what is the difference that you have observed in your experience?
Okay, so couple of difference. One is like obviously your engineering life is a lot more slower because it's stretched for a 4-year period, right?
Yeah.
So your academics are not as rigorous as it is in an MBA college. It's a lot more easier on you. But it's also a lot more daunting because you're out there for the first time. You have left the comfort of your home for the very first time, and so have your peers, right? So again, thoda daunting zyada hota engineering, but then again, it becomes a lot more easier as time progresses. In MBA, life moves at 2x. So you don't get to, sit and think about a lot of things. Oh, I'm far from my home. Oh, I'm missing my parents. Oh, I'm missing my family. Because you don't get the time. You don't absolutely have the time to think about all those things, because if you keep, spending your time, otherwise, keep spending your time, contemplating, you will be out of the system because it's very competitive. And to be very honest, life in MBA is slight more toxic as well, if to use that word, because people have an air of superiority here. जब आप engineering में होते हो, so everyone's a kid, right? Everyone's what, 17, 18, and वहाँ पर people don't have a lot of ego, but here people have a lot of ego as well. So everyone's getting into the race of getting placed with the best firm, getting placed as early as possible. So it becomes kind of toxic, which is where I felt a lot of my peers gave into that peer pressure, which is something I observed during our summer placement.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a brief context. So summer placements, how it happens for us is, it happens on 2 days. So your consulting firms and the top finance firms visit us on the first day, and second day पर आपकी marketing firms, genman firms, IT companies, ये सारी firms उस दिन आती हैं. Now the environment is so toxic where everyone takes pride in getting placed on day one or getting placed on the first day itself, and that's what you hear from your seniors as well. So कि जल्दी place हो जाओ, the more time you take, the more difficult it becomes for you, and which is why a lot of people took placements in companies or in fields where they didn't want to go.
Okay.
Because they were scared that they might not be able to, do it on the next day, and then they have to, sit for the lesser known companies or the lesser known startups.
Okay.
So the entire week leading up to the placement season becomes a lot more toxic. The air in the campus becomes a lot more heavier for everyone. People and every senior you can find has some advice to give to you, right? So again, a lot of people just cave in, and this is precisely what my seniors told me, and they said that you have a profile which is suited for a product management role. Don't go into consulting. I had a consulting shortlist. They were strictly against it. They were like, don't come to the venue on day. आना ही मत, तुमको कुछ देखने को ही नहीं मिलेगा, तो तुम peer pressure में जाओगे ही.
Okay.
Even though I went there to see what is happening, but I chose to skip all my interviews on that day. So,
wow.
And then I sat for my Salesforce interview, and then that converted, and now I'm interning here. So again,
Awesome.
like we were talking about the differences, so MBA is a lot more fast-paced, a lot more toxic. Even though you get a chance to network with a lot more people, you probably don't get a chance to make a lot of friends here. Versus engineering, where you make lifelong friends, where it's a lot more nurturing for you.
Nice. Amazing. I think that's a very fresh perspective on this, because a lot of people do not realize what goes inside, right?
Yeah.
We are all just gung-ho about things from outside as we see things, but yeah. Cool. Amazing. So now this is one of my current favorite topics, with all the ChatGPT and AI and this and that has been thrown at us. Now, what I want to understand from you in this MBA journey, right? So today it's like, if you see with ChatGPT, what you see, there are a lot of use cases, right? Everyone is using it to their advantage. It's becoming more and more capable, of course, with each iteration of development and things. If you see, there's a lot of content writing scope. Suddenly it has emerged because of ChatGPT and things. तो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, right? It has its own set of advantages, disadvantages. Now, in your experience, because, and why I ask this is because you're also very close to technology, even though you are pursuing business right now, but you are very, very close to technology. So what is your take on it? I mean, do you use ChatGPT and things like that, those platforms? And in your mind, is there a way it can be used and consumed in a better way to your advantage? or the way people are using it, maybe just for that quick help and things and blah blah blah.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll give you like a anecdote from what happened in my college when
Awesome.
ChatGPT became very popular.
Yeah.
So suddenly, सबको समझ में आया, oh, there is a generative LLM model which can write things for you. You give it a prompt and it will complete a sentence for you, or it will write things for you. And everyone went bonkers. Everyone started using it for their assignments. A lot of plagiarism happening. People put in a prompt, it generates a response for you. What they do is they take that response, they put it into Quillbot, which is another tool for you to rephrase your sentences so that it doesn't get caught by your plagiarism detectors. And they finish off their assignments very easily, very quickly, which became the norm on the campus. And of course,
Wow.
the professors caught up to it. The professors, obviously, they are also as aware about technology as we are. So within a week, all our professors told us that you also have to, while you're submitting your assignment, you also have to submit a report which states whether this text was generated by an AI or not. And there are such tools available on the internet where you can scan a text and it will detect with a fair amount of confidence that this was written by an AI versus this was not written by an AI. Now you have
Okay.
to submit that report. And what they did was they plugged it in into our plagiarism detector, which we use at our college. So within a week, everyone was again back to writing their own assignments, figuring out how to do their assignments, and the party did not last a very long time. But what I realized is that some people took some very unique approaches to using
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Okay.
So, like for example, there is a particular subject taught at IIMB in your third term called Business, Governance, and Society. It's a very open-ended subject where you learn about how businesses, government, and society interact with each other and what are the dynamics at play. So we had 3 written assignments to submit, and then we had a very open-ended exam about government intervention in an economic context. Okay,
Okay.
so what they did was they gave us the case before the exam, and then they told us read the case and then return it back to us. Once you have read the case, you know the context, you will be given the case again, but directly in the exam hall with the question. So now everyone who's using ChatGPT would want to know the question so that he can prepare for the answer. But what some of us did was we read the entire case twice, then we fed that case to ChatGPT and asked it to generate questions for us. Like, what are the possible questions in the
Wow.
context of, let's say, government intervention, or in the context of society, or the impact on society, or the role of businesses? Generate some questions for us on those lines, and then ChatGPT did that. Then we read those questions, and then we asked ChatGPT for the answers. It did that again. It gave us the answers. So using this iterative approach, people had a more holistic understanding about what the case was actually trying to say. Because the case was difficult, to be honest. The case language was very difficult, and it had a lot of terms which you wouldn't know otherwise. So, but then again, this was one creative use of ChatGPT to make sure that whatever you are learning is more holistic than you would do from a Google search on the internet, right?
That's
So,
amazing. I mean, and I think we need more of these, right? The creative use of Chat GPT. I think rather than being scared of it or using it in a negative way, or promoting plagiarism and things like that, I think there are always a better side of things, and I think we should look to explore more of that. I think the anecdote that you shared is a very nice example of it, and I'm sure when people hear about such ideas, तो दिमाग अपने आप थोड़ा और खुलने लगता है, राइट? और
correct,
4 आइडियाज आने लगते हैं. तो
correct.
so yeah, I think that's a very nice example, and thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Now, what's next after IIMB?
Yeah. So currently, abhi to the only thing in my mind right now is, finishing my internship, getting back
Yeah.
to campus, and then, just work on certain aspects which I couldn't work on during my first year. I couldn't possibly work a lot more harder on my grades that I wanted to. So this is something which I want to correct in my second year, possibly, explore a lot more things which I usually am afraid of exploring, like exploring a completely different subject which I'm not very comfortable with, or a domain which I'm not very comfortable with.
Awesome.
And then the plan is to get into the IT industry as a product manager or a program manager, and then move on from there.
Why specifically product or program manager and not something else?
Yeah, so there are two reasons. One is obviously that role is a perfect a perfect mixture of technology and business. So you get to apply your technical skills, but you also get to apply whatever you've learned in your B school journey.
Mm.
And the second thing is it's very close to entrepreneurship as it gets.
Right.
You are responsible for the entire profit and loss of your product. So you have to make sure that your product works, that your product is loved by your customers, and that your product is also making money. Because प्यार से पेट नहीं भर रहा है ना, कंपनी तो पैसे कमाएगी. So this is the closest you can get to entrepreneurship as you can. And
So entrepreneurship is on the cards?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I had an entrepreneurship course in my last term, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But if I think about entrepreneurship, see, a lot of people have a lot of reasons about why they want to pursue entrepreneurship. Right? Some people want to make money. Some people want to work in a particular field. Some people want to solve some problems. If I ever get into entrepreneurship, my choice is social entrepreneurship. If I'm doing it, if I'm solving some problem, I better do it to solve some problems at a large scale for the society, and not just to earn money for myself.
Awesome.
But let's see what happens. Abhi kuch idea nahi hai, but we'll figure out.
Amazing. Cool. I think this was a great conversation, Rahul.
Mhm.
I think I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it, the whole journey, right from your first college, before that, to Sabre, to IIMB right now, and to Salesforce as a product manager again. I'm sure this is going to give a lot of inspiration to a lot of young people out there, who are also somewhere trying their bits to change their course of life, their careers and things. And I'm sure they'll take a lot back from this conversation. Also, it was very, very fascinating to see how close you are still with technology. The very creative use of ChatGPT and things. So I had a gala time having this conversation. So thank you for coming to the broader pattern and sharing your words of wisdom and your experiences and your journey with the audience. So thank you so much. It was just wonderful having you.
Thanks a lot. Dear. It was a absolutely wonderful experience for me as well. And I was really happy to be here. And I hope the message to everyone out there is not, thinking about money or thinking about getting into a B school, but rather than, having the right mindset or having the right thinking towards whatever you're doing. And I hope some people can get inspiration from whatever we talked about. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.